Lieutenant Dae-ho Kim stared at the radar screen, watching dozens of red dots appear in Earth's atmosphere. The coffee in his hand had gone cold hours ago, but he did not notice. The dots were not following any flight pattern he had ever seen. "Ma'am, we have a problem," he called to Captain Min-seo Park, who was coordinating with defense teams across the globe. Min-seo hurried over to Dae-ho's station. She had spent 15 years in Special Forces before joining the Earth Defense Coordination Center. In those years, she had seen many strange things, but nothing like this. "Those are not our aircraft," she said, studying the screen. "They are too big, too fast, and there are too many of them." Dr. Woo Jin Lee looked up from his computer terminal. As the team's science advisor, he had been tracking unusual energy readings for the past 6 hours. The readings did not match anything in Earth's databases. "The energy signatures are completely unknown," Woo Jin reported. "Whatever those ships use for power, we have never seen it before. The technology appears to be centuries ahead of ours." Sergeant Bo-ra Choi stopped typing at her cyber warfare station. She had been monitoring global communications, watching for any signs of coordinated attack. What she found instead were radio signals in frequencies that human technology barely used. "I am picking up transmissions between those ships," Bo-ra said. "The signals are encrypted, but the patterns are unlike anything in our databases. These are not human ships." Corporal Tae-sung Nam checked his heavy weapons inventory one more time. As the team's weapons specialist, he maintained the defense center's armament. He had missiles, machine guns, and explosives, but he wondered if any of it would matter against unknown technology. "Contact all military bases," Min-seo ordered. "Tell them we have unknown aircraft in our airspace. Scramble fighters. But tell them to stay at safe distance until we know what we are dealing with." Dae-ho opened communication channels to military commanders around the world. Within minutes, reports came flooding in. The strange ships had appeared simultaneously over every major city on Earth. This was clearly a coordinated action. "Seoul reports 50 ships over the city," Dae-ho announced. "Tokyo has 40. London, Paris, New York, Moscow, they all have ships overhead. This is happening everywhere at once." Woo Jin pulled up satellite images on the main screen. The ships were enormous, each one larger than the biggest aircraft carriers. They moved with impossible smoothness, ignoring wind and weather. Most disturbing, they showed no signs of the heat or exhaust that human aircraft produced. "These ships are using technology we do not understand," Woo Jin said. "They appear to be using some form of energy manipulation that our science cannot explain." Bo-ra suddenly straightened at her station. "I am receiving a transmission," she announced. "It is coming from the lead ship over Seoul. The signal is incredibly strong." "Put it on the main speakers," Min-seo ordered. The room filled with a strange clicking sound, followed by perfect English spoken in a mechanical voice. "Attention, humans of Earth. This is Commander Veltar of the Vorthak Empire. Your planet has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You will surrender immediately and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in the destruction of your civilization." The team exchanged glances. The message was clear, but the situation seemed impossible. An alien invasion was something that happened in movies, not in real life. "Are we really being invaded by aliens?" Tae-sung asked. "It appears so," Min-seo replied. She had faced many enemies in her military career, but never anything like this. "Dae-ho, contact the president. Bo-ra, try to learn more about their communications. Woo Jin, analyze everything you can about their technology. Tae-sung, prepare our defenses." Dae-ho connected to the emergency presidential line. Within seconds, he was speaking directly to the nation's leader. Similar conversations were happening in capitals around the world. Humanity was about to face its first alien contact, and it was not peaceful. "The president wants to know our military assessment," Dae-ho reported. Min-seo looked at the massive ships on the screen. "Tell him we are facing superior technology and unknown numbers, but also tell him that we are not surrendering without a fight." Bo-ra worked frantically at her computer, trying to break the alien encryption. "Their communication system is incredibly advanced," she said, "but it follows logical patterns. I might be able to disrupt it if I can find the right frequency." Woo Jin studied the energy readings from the alien ships. "Their power source generates massive amounts of energy," he reported. "But energy that powerful might also be unstable. There could be weaknesses we can exploit." Tae-sung checked the defense center's weapon systems. "Our missiles are ready," he said. "I do not know if they will penetrate alien armor, but we can certainly try." Mincio felt the weight of the moment. These aliens had clearly planned this invasion carefully. They spoke human languages and knew exactly where to find Earth's major cities. They had superior technology and numerical advantage. But Mincio also knew something the aliens might not understand. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. They had developed tactics, strategies, and weapons through constant conflict. Most importantly, humans fought hardest when they were defending their homes. Listen carefully, Mincio told her team. These aliens think they know us because they have watched our television and studied our history. But they have never actually fought us. They do not know what humans can do when we are truly threatened. The alien commander's voice came through the speakers again. You have 1 standard time unit to surrender. After that, we will begin occupation procedures. How long is a standard time unit? Taeho asked. Unknown, Woojin replied. But I suspect we are about to find out. Mincio looked around the room at her team. Taeho, the tactical coordinator who had never lost his cool under pressure. Bora, the cyber warfare expert who could hack any system. Woojin, the scientist who understood technology better than anyone. Taesung, the weapons specialist who knew how to use every tool of war. They were just 5 people against an alien invasion fleet, but they were also representatives of a species that had never stopped fighting, never stopped adapting, and never stopped finding new ways to win against impossible odds. All stations, maintain readiness, Mincio commanded. If these aliens want to fight, we will give them one they will never forget. Commander Veltar stood in the center of the war room, his 6 arms moving across multiple control panels at once. The massive screens around him showed images of Earth, a small blue planet that had caught the attention of the Vorthak Empire 100 years ago. What started as curiosity had become an obsession. Show me the latest human transmission analysis, Veltar commanded. His voice carried the authority of someone who had never lost a battle. The Vorthak had conquered 47 worlds in the past 3 centuries. Earth would be number 48. War strategist Mordoon activated the main display. Images of human soldiers flashed across the screen, men and women in different uniforms, carrying primitive weapons, fighting in what the humans called wars. To Veltar, these conflicts looked more like children playing with toys. The humans continue to fight among themselves, Mordoon reported. Our intelligence shows they use projectile weapons, metal bullets fired from small tubes. Their largest weapons can barely reach their own orbit. They have no energy shields, no plasma cannons, no dimensional warfare capabilities. Veltar watched the footage with growing confidence. Human soldiers moved slowly compared to Vorthak warriors. Their weapons seemed loud and clumsy. Most importantly, they spent more time fighting each other than working together. This would make conquest simple. What about their technology? Veltar asked. Primitive by our standards, Mordoon replied. They still use chemical fuels for space travel. Their computers are thousands of years behind ours. They cannot even travel faster than light. The humans are trapped on their single planet. The war room filled with the clicking sounds that passed for laughter among the Vorthak. These humans seemed so weak, so limited. The Empire had been preparing for this invasion longer than most human civilizations had existed. Veltar moved to another screen showing the Vorthak military academies. Thousands of warriors trained daily in massive simulation chambers. Each chamber was designed to look exactly like human cities, based on images stolen from human satellites and television broadcasts. The Vorthak soldiers practiced urban warfare, moving through fake streets lined with human-style buildings. They learned to use their energy weapons against targets that moved and fought like humans. Every day for 100 years, they had run the same scenarios over and over. Tell me about their military strategy, Veltar said. Mordoon pulled up files containing decades of human military history. The humans favor large-scale battles with many soldiers. They group together in formations and attack directly. Their tactics are predictable. They rely heavily on their primitive vehicles and aircraft. The screen showed human tanks, metal boxes that moved on tracks, firing single projectiles. Human aircraft that needed air to fly and could barely reach beyond their atmosphere. To Veltar, it all looked like ancient history. They also show emotional weakness, Mordoon continued. Humans surrender when they face superior force. They panic when their leaders are killed. They fight better when defending their homes, but they become confused and afraid when attacked by unknown enemies. This information pleased Veltar. The Vorthak had studied human psychology through their entertainment broadcasts. They knew humans feared the unknown. They understood that humans worked poorly under extreme stress. The invasion would create both fear and stress in massive amounts. The war room's central table projected a three-dimensional map of Earth. Red markers showed planned landing sites. Blue lines traced attack routes. Green zones marked areas for occupation centers. Every detail had been planned and tested. The invasion timeline? Veltar asked. 72 hours for complete planetary control, Morden answered. Our simulations show human resistance collapsing within the first day. Most humans will surrender rather than fight an obviously superior force. Veltar studied the battle plans one more time. Phase 1 would begin with orbital bombardment of major military bases. The humans would lose their primitive weapons quickly. Phase 2 involved landing troops in major population centers. The sight of Vorthak warriors would terrify the humans into submission. Phase 3 was occupation and resource extraction. The Vorthak had run this simulation 50,000 times. Each time, the result was the same. Total victory with minimal casualties. The human weapons could not penetrate Vorthak energy shields. Human soldiers moved too slowly to escape Vorthak plasma weapons. Human aircraft would fall like leaves before Vorthak fighters. What is our current fleet strength? Veltar asked. 1,000 ships, each carrying 500 warriors, Morden replied. We also have heavy assault craft, orbital bombardment platforms, and supply vessels. The humans have never seen technology like ours. Veltar felt satisfied. 500,000 Vorthak warriors against a planet of primitive humans seemed almost unfair, but the Empire needed Earth's resources, and the humans were simply in the way. The commander walked to the massive window overlooking the training grounds. Below him, Vorthak soldiers ran through their final exercises. They moved in perfect formation, their energy weapons glowing bright blue in the alien sunlight. Each warrior had trained for decades in human combat scenarios. Begin final preparations, Veltar commanded. Launch the fleet in one standard cycle. After 100 years of preparation, it is time to claim our prize. As the war room bustled with activity, Veltar felt completely confident. The humans had no idea what was coming. They continued their small conflicts, unaware that a real military force approached their world. Soon, Earth would belong to the Vorthak Empire, and these primitive humans would understand their place in the galaxy. The invasion fleet began powering up its engines. 100 years of planning was about to become reality. Veltar smiled, knowing that victory was already assured. The alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Commander Veltar watched from his command ship as the invasion began exactly as planned. His warriors moved into position, their energy weapons charging for the first strike. Everything was proceeding according to the simulations. Begin Phase 1, Veltar commanded. Target military installations first. Bright beams of energy shot down from the alien ships, striking military bases around the world. The beams were designed to disable human technology without destroying valuable infrastructure. According to Vorthak calculations, this display of superior firepower would convince humans to surrender immediately. But something unexpected happened. Lieutenant Dae Ho Kim's voice crackled across global communications. All units, weapons free, show them what a real war looks like. Instead of surrendering, human military forces began fighting back immediately. Fighter jets launched from bases that had not been hit. Mobile missile units emerged from hidden positions. Naval vessels opened fire with everything they had. Captain Min Seo Park coordinated ground defenses from the Seoul Command Center. All teams engage targets of opportunity, she ordered. Use hit-and-run tactics. Do not let them establish landing zones. The first shock came when human missiles struck Vorthak ships. The aliens' energy shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered little protection against physical projectiles traveling at high speed. Several alien craft shuddered under the impact of human explosives. Impossible, war strategist Morden reported to Veltar. Their primitive weapons are penetrating our defensive systems. Veltar watched in confusion as human fighter jets swarmed around his ships. The human aircraft were slower than Vorthak fighters, but they moved in unpredictable patterns. His warriors, trained to fight enemies who followed logical tactics, struggled to target the chaotic human formations. Dr. Woojin Lee analyzed the alien energy weapons from his station. Their beams follow predictable paths, he reported to Min Seo. If our pilots can avoid flying in straight lines, they can dodge most of the alien fire. This information spread quickly to human forces worldwide. Pilots began flying in random patterns, making themselves nearly impossible to hit with weapons designed for precision targeting. Sergeant Bo-Ra Choi discovered something even more important. "I have found their communication frequency," she announced. "Their coordination system uses a single primary channel. If I can jam that frequency..." Bo-Ra began transmitting interference signals on the alien communication band. Immediately, Vorthak forces began experiencing coordination problems. Orders became garbled. Units lost contact with their commanders. The precise military machine that had trained for a century started falling apart. Corporal Taesung Nam coordinated artillery strikes against the larger alien ships. His heavy weapons teams had learned to target specific points on the alien craft, where the energy shields seemed weakest. "Concentrate fire on the rear sections," Taesung ordered. "Their shields are weaker there." Human forces around the world began targeting the same weak points. The aliens had never encountered enemies who could adapt their tactics in real time. Every Vorthak simulation had assumed humans would continue using the same strategies throughout the battle. Commander Veltar watched his carefully planned invasion crumble within the first 2 minutes. His warriors were taking casualties at an alarming rate. Worse, the humans were not behaving according to any of the psychological profiles the Vorthak had developed. "Why are they not surrendering?" Veltar demanded. "They can see our superior technology. They should be afraid." But the humans were not afraid. They were angry. Captain Min Seo Park had seen the alien energy beams destroy several military bases. She had watched good soldiers die in the first moments of the attack. Now she wanted revenge. "All units, these aliens think they can just take our planet," she broadcast. "Show them they are wrong." Human forces began using tactics the aliens had never encountered in their simulations. Instead of forming large units that could be targeted easily, they broke into small groups that struck quickly and disappeared. They used the terrain to their advantage, hiding in buildings and forests that the aliens could not easily destroy without damaging valuable resources. The Vorthak had prepared for traditional warfare, large armies meeting in open battle. They had not prepared for guerrilla tactics, urban warfare, or enemies who refused to follow the rules of engagement. Lieutenant Dae-ho Kim coordinated a massive counterattack. "All available forces converge on the lead ships," he ordered. "If we can bring down their command vessels, the rest might retreat." Human forces from multiple countries began working together in ways that surprised even themselves. Language barriers disappeared as pilots and soldiers communicated through actions rather than words. The threat to their home planet had united humanity in ways that decades of diplomacy had failed to achieve. Dr. Woo Jin Lee made another crucial discovery. "Their ships generate massive heat signatures when they fire," he reported. "We can track them even when they are invisible to our radar." This information allowed human forces to predict alien movements. Surface-to-air missiles began finding their targets more frequently. The aliens' technological advantages were being neutralized by human adaptability and creativity. War strategist Morden watched his tactical displays in horror. "Commander, we have lost 37 ships in the first 3 minutes. Human resistance is far stronger than predicted." Veltar could not understand what was happening. His forces had overwhelming technological superiority. His warriors were better trained and better equipped. His invasion plan had been tested thousands of times. Yet somehow these primitive humans were winning. The problem was that the Vorthak had prepared to fight the humans they had observed through television and historical records. But those humans had been fighting other humans, using tactics designed for human opponents. Now facing an alien invasion, humanity was fighting like never before. Sergeant Bo-Ra Choi managed to break into the alien communication system completely. "I have access to their command frequency," she announced. "I can hear everything they are saying." The intelligence she gathered revealed that the aliens were already considering retreat. Their casualties were mounting rapidly, and they had no effective response to human tactics. Corporal Taesung Nam's artillery teams had learned to coordinate their fire for maximum effect. Instead of targeting individual ships, they began focusing all firepower on single targets. One by one, alien ships began falling from the sky. By the end of the 3rd minute, Commander Veltar realized that his century of preparation had been useless. The humans were not fighting the way they were supposed to fight. They were not surrendering the way they were supposed to surrender. They were not behaving like any enemy the Vorthak had ever faced. "Prepare for emergency withdrawal," Veltar ordered reluctantly. The invasion that was supposed to last 72 hours was already failing after only 3 minutes. Commander Veltar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The red indicators showing Vorthak casualties were multiplying faster than he could count. In 4 minutes of combat, his invasion force had lost more ships than in the previous century of galactic conquest combined. "Report," he demanded from war strategist Morden. 68 ships destroyed, 147 damaged, Morden replied, his voice shaking. "Human forces are coordinating attacks in ways our computers cannot predict. They are not following any known military doctrine." The truth was becoming clear to Veltar. The Vorthak had spent 100 years studying human military history, but they had only seen humans fighting other humans. They had never witnessed what happened when humanity faced an existential threat from an alien species. Captain Min Seo Park coordinated the global defense from her command center, watching as reports of victories came in from around the world. Human forces were not just surviving the alien attack, they were winning. Tokyo reports successful downing of 3 alien ships, Lieutenant Dae-ho Kim announced. London has destroyed 2 command vessels. Moscow claims 4 kills in the last 60 seconds. Minseo allowed herself a brief smile. The aliens had made a critical error in their planning. They had assumed that human military forces would operate the same way in an alien invasion as they did in human conflicts, but facing an enemy from another world had awakened something in humanity that the aliens could never have predicted. Dr. Wu Jin Lee discovered another weakness in the alien technology. "Their energy weapons have a charging cycle," he reported. "After they fire, there is a 2-second delay before they can fire again. Our pilots can use that window to attack." This information spread instantly to human forces worldwide. Fighter pilots began timing their attacks to coincide with the alien weapons' charging cycles. What had seemed like invincible technology suddenly became predictable and vulnerable. Sergeant Bo-Ra Choi had completely infiltrated the alien communication network. She could hear the panic in their transmissions as their coordinated attack fell apart. "They are requesting immediate reinforcements," she reported. "But it sounds like this is their entire invasion fleet. They do not have backup forces." The aliens had planned for a quick victory against a primitive enemy. They had never considered the possibility that they might need reinforcements against humans. Corporal Taesung Nam organized his artillery teams for a massive, coordinated strike. "All heavy weapons teams prepare for simultaneous bombardment," he ordered. "Target the largest ships first." The Vorthak had designed their fleet for overwhelming firepower against weak opposition. They had not prepared for sustained combat against an enemy that could match their aggression and exceed their tactical flexibility. Commander Veltar received reports from his ship commanders that made no sense. Human forces were using tactics that violated every principle of military logic his species understood. "They are sacrificing advantageous positions to attack from unexpected angles," one captain reported. "They abandoned perfectly good defensive positions to launch suicide attacks against our strongest ships. What the Vorthak could not understand was that humans had learned these tactics through thousands of years of warfare. They knew when to hold ground and when to give it up. They understood that sometimes the best defense was an unpredictable offense. War strategist Morden analyzed the human tactics desperately, trying to find patterns his computers could exploit. "Their battle formations make no sense," he reported. "They seem to be making decisions based on intuition rather than logic." This was exactly right, though Mordun did not realize it. Human military commanders were relying on combat experience that the Vorthak simulations could never replicate. They were making split-second decisions based on instincts developed through actual warfare, not theoretical training. Dr. Wu Jin Lee made another breakthrough. "I have analyzed the wreckage from destroyed alien ships," he announced. "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it is also incredibly specialized. Their systems are designed for specific functions and cannot adapt to unexpected situations. This explained why the aliens were struggling so badly. Their weapons, shields, and tactics were optimized for fighting enemies who used energy weapons and followed predictable strategies. Against humans using kinetic weapons and chaotic tactics, the alien technology was actually less effective than human equipment. Lieutenant Dae-ho Kim coordinated a global counterattack that would have been impossible in any previous human conflict. Military forces from dozens of countries were working together seamlessly. sharing intelligence and resources without the political complications that normally slowed human cooperation. All forces, concentrate fire on the remaining command ships, he ordered. If we can eliminate their leadership, the rest of their fleet will be easy targets. The Vorthak had not anticipated that an alien invasion would actually unite humanity. Their intelligence had predicted that humans would continue fighting among themselves even during an invasion, making conquest easier. Instead, the threat from space had eliminated human conflicts instantly. Sergeant Bora Choi transmitted false orders through the alien communication system, causing Vorthak ships to move into positions where human forces could attack them more easily. I am sending their ships coordinates that will bring them into our missile range, she reported. They think they are following orders from their command. The alien's superior communication technology became a liability when humans could manipulate it. The Vorthak had never encountered an enemy capable of electronic warfare at this level. Corporal Tai Sung-nam's coordinated artillery strike began. Every heavy weapon on Earth that could reach orbit fired simultaneously at the largest alien ships. The concentrated firepower overwhelmed the aliens' defensive systems completely. Commander Veltar watched 3 of his largest ships explode in sequence. His carefully planned invasion had become a disaster of unprecedented proportions. In 5 minutes, the humans had destroyed or damaged over half his fleet. How is this possible? He demanded. Their weapons are primitive. Their technology is centuries behind ours. They should not be able to resist us. But the Vorthak had made a fundamental error in their assessment. They had confused technological advancement with military effectiveness. Human weapons might be primitive, but they were also proven in actual combat. Human tactics might seem chaotic, but they were refined through constant warfare. The aliens had spent a century preparing to fight the humans they had observed, but those observations had only shown humans fighting limited conflicts with limited goals. The Vorthak had never seen what happened when humans fought for the survival of their entire species. Captain Minseo Park watched the tactical display as alien ships began retreating from Earth's atmosphere. All units pursue and engage, she ordered. Do not let them regroup. The aliens were discovering that humans did not fight by the rules of civilized warfare. When threatened with extinction, humanity became something that no simulation could predict, a species that would use any tactic, accept any loss, and fight with absolute determination until either they won or they died. Commander Veltar realized that his invasion was not just failing, it was becoming a complete massacre of his forces. In 5 minutes, these primitive humans had proven themselves to be the most dangerous enemy the Vorthak Empire had ever encountered. At exactly 6 minutes into the invasion, Commander Veltar made the decision that would haunt the Vorthak Empire forever. With more than 2/3 of his fleet destroyed or disabled, he activated the emergency retreat protocol. All ships, immediate withdrawal to hyperspace, he commanded. Repeat, all ships retreat immediately. The surviving Vorthak vessels began pulling back from Earth's atmosphere, their energy shields flickering as human weapons continued to pound them relentlessly. What was supposed to be humanity's subjugation had become the Vorthak Empire's worst military disaster. Captain Minseo Park watched the alien ships fleeing on her tactical display. Around the world, human forces were celebrating their impossible victory. But Minseo knew this was not the time to celebrate. It was time to finish the job. All units, maximum pursuit, she ordered. Do not let any of them escape to report back to their fleet. Lieutenant Dae-ho Kim coordinated the final assault. Human forces that had been scattered across the globe now worked together with precision that amazed even their own commanders. Fighter squadrons from different countries flew in formation. Artillery teams shared targeting data instantly. Naval forces provided covering fire for aircraft they had never trained with. Sole control to all units. Dae-ho broadcast. Target the retreating ship's engines. If we can disable their faster-than-light drives, they cannot escape to warn others. Dr. Woo Jin Lee had been analyzing captured alien technology throughout the battle. I have identified their engine systems, he reported. The bright blue glow at the rear of each ship, that is their power source. Concentrate fire on those areas. Human forces immediately adjusted their tactics. Instead of trying to destroy the alien ships completely, they focused on disabling their ability to flee. Ship after ship found their engines damaged. leaving them stranded in Earth's atmosphere. Sergeant Bora Choi continued her electronic warfare assault on the alien communication system. "I am transmitting false retreat coordinates," she announced. "Some of their ships are flying directly into our defensive positions instead of escaping." The Vorthak had never encountered enemies who could manipulate their technology so effectively. Their advanced computer systems, designed to be impossible to hack, were being turned against them by human creativity and determination. Corporal Taesung Nam's artillery teams delivered the final blow to the alien invasion. His carefully coordinated barrage caught the retreating ships in a crossfire that destroyed dozens of vessels in seconds. "Direct hits on multiple targets," Taesung reported. "Enemy fleet strength reduced to less than 20% of original numbers." Commander Veltar watched his invasion force die around him. Ships that had taken decades to build were destroyed in seconds by weapons that his scientists had dismissed as primitive. Warriors who had trained their entire lives for this moment were dead or dying, killed by enemies they had been taught to consider inferior. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked war strategist Morden. "Fewer than 100, Morden replied, his voice hollow with shock. "Most of those are damaged. We have lost over 400 ships in 6 minutes. Beltar could barely comprehend the numbers. The Vorthak Empire had never lost 400 ships in a single battle, let alone in 6 minutes against a supposedly primitive enemy. The remaining alien ships finally reached the edge of Earth's atmosphere and began charging their hyperspace drives. But even as they prepared to flee, human forces continued attacking. Fighter pilots pushed their aircraft to maximum altitude, firing everything they had at the retreating invaders. Captain Minseo Park coordinated the final moments of Earth's defense. "All forces maintain fire until the last alien ship is gone," she ordered. "Let them remember what happens when someone threatens our home." Dr. Woo Jin Lee had managed to capture several pieces of alien technology during the battle. "We have samples of their weapons, shield generators, and computer systems," he reported. "If they ever come back, we will be ready for them." But Commander Veltar had no intention of coming back. As his ship entered hyperspace, he began composing his report to the Vorthak High Command. How could he explain that a century of preparation had been worthless? How could he describe the total failure of an invasion that was supposed to be impossible to lose? The answer came to him as he watched Earth disappear behind them. The Vorthak had prepared to fight humans as they understood them, predictable enemies using familiar tactics. But they had never considered what humans became when fighting for survival. Lieutenant Dae-ho Kim watched the last alien ship vanish from his radar screen. Around the world, human forces were celebrating their victory, but he knew that this was more than just a military success. Humanity had proven something important about itself. "All stations, report status," he requested. The responses came in from around the globe. Damage had been surprisingly light considering they had just fought an interstellar invasion. Human casualties were in the hundreds, not the millions the aliens had probably expected. Final enemy count: over 400 ships destroyed. Fewer than 100 escaped, Minseo announced to the Global Defense Network. Duration of invasion: 6 minutes from first shot to last ship fleeing. The irony was not lost on anyone. The Vorthak had spent 100 years preparing for this invasion. It had lasted 6 minutes. Sergeant Bora Choi intercepted the final alien transmission as they fled. "I am receiving their report to their home base," she announced. "Should I translate it?" "Let us hear it," Minseo replied. Bora activated the translation system. Commander Veltar's voice filled the command center. "Vorthak High Command, this is Invasion Fleet Commander Veltar. Mission has failed completely. Recommend indefinite postponement of Earth conquest. Human resistance far exceeded all projections. They are not what our simulations predicted. They are far more dangerous than any enemy we have previously encountered." There was a pause. Then Veltar continued. "These humans do not fight like the species we studied. When threatened with extinction, they become something else entirely. They are unpredictable, adaptive, and absolutely ruthless in defense of their territory. Any future contact with Earth should be considered extremely hazardous." The transmission ended, leaving the human defenders in stunned silence. Dr. Woo Jin Lee was the first to speak. "I think we just sent a message to the galaxy," he said. "Any species that wants to invade Earth will have to think twice about it." Corporal Taesung Nam began securing the captured alien technology. "If they do come back, we will be ready," he said. "And next time, we will have their own weapons to use against them." Captain Mincio Park looked around at her team. 5 people who had helped coordinate humanity's first defense against an alien invasion. They had proven that advanced technology was no match for human determination, creativity, and the willingness to fight for their home. "Send a message to all military commands worldwide," she ordered. "Tell them that Earth remains unconquered. Tell them that humanity has passed its first test as a spacefaring species, and tell them that any aliens thinking about invading our planet should remember what happened to the last ones who tried." The alien invasion was over. It had lasted exactly 6 minutes. But its effects would last forever, because humanity had learned something crucial about itself. When threatened with extinction, humans did not surrender. They fought back harder than any enemy could imagine.